I will mute.
Do you dare to follow me down? Head into the unknown, down the rabbit hole, where it stops no one knows. We're going down. We're going down. We're going down. We're going down. Do you dare to follow me down? Head into the unknown.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? Hopefully, everybody is good today on this Monday, the 9-month mark. Jack and Lily being missing. Just so everybody knows, we are streaming to American Justice Melissa's channel, and we're also streaming to Shenanigans. Shenanigans is on a very important phone call, but she will join us as soon as she possibly can. But for now, hello, Melissa. Thank you for being here. And I'm just going to go through and say hi to some people while we wait for Shenanigans to return. This live stream, before I get started, we're going to try our best to keep it about Jack and Lily and some of the other creators. They obviously have work and stuff that they're doing, so other other obligations, and they couldn't make it, but we're simply showing solidarity today and going to keep it about Jack and Lily, like I said, as much as we can. Marie, thanks for being here. Take a moment to pray for these beautiful babies to be brought home and justice be served. Absolutely. Hey, Gren, Truth and Beauty, thank you for being here. And Magdalena, she did an interview on Wednesday, should come out soon. Good to know. Hey, Kelly. I don't know what's wrong with your avatar. What's going on? Deanna, good to see you. Hey, TJ's mom. Praying for justice. We all are. Colleen, good to see you. Helicopter Grandma, thanks for coming. I will mute. Oh, weird. My phone decided just to start. Mildred, good to see you. Streaming here from, you're watching, I believe, Shenanigans. So thanks for being here. And Helicopter Grandma, not sure where you're streaming to. So thank you for joining, whoever you're joining today. House Music, good to see you. Hey, Darlene. Crime Science, thanks for being here. Hey, Kelly. Who else? Ange. Chicken Whisperer. Hey. What's this one? I don't know. Huh. I wish I knew how to say your name. I'm sorry. Mr. Hemi, good to see you. Hey. Artie Man. Hey, Cynthia. What Willow wrote. Hi. And Carol. Hey, Mayflower and Little Black Bear. Kelly Ritledge. Hey, Kimber. Bonnie, good to see ya. Hey, Star Child. Melissa's in the house. Sarah, good to see ya. Hey, Suzanne. And Bobby Joe, Sky Painter. It's always good to see you. Thank you for joining. Hey, Stella. Odessa. poor wee babies hoping for justice. Yes. Melissa's document, she's updated it. Definitely go check that out. And while you're at it, she is 30 subscribers away from 500. It's a goal that she's been working towards for quite a while. So head over and subscribe. She will drop her link. Hey, Amy. Betty Knight, good to see you. Paris of the Prairie, hi there. Hi, Liz. Lynn Hammock, hey, Lucy and Brian. Lori Green, good to see you. Hey, Cindy, Nana. I'm going super fast today. Jessie D, good to see ya. Hey, Gaspé girl, Gaspé gal, sorry. Just a clapping seal. There's my favorite name. Sherry, hi, good to see ya. Truth and Beauty. Hey, Robin and Addie. I feel like I'm just flying through these today. Hey, Grey Wolf. 9 months, hard to believe it's been that long with no answers. Justice for those beautiful children, Jack and Lily. Absolutely. Hi, Johnny. It's been a minute. Good to see you. Hey, Donna. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for finding us. Hey, Wolfie. Good to see you. Christina, thank you. OG right there. TJ's mom. I really thought this would be solved already. Yeah, me too. It's gone a little longer, I think, than most people thought it would. It's hard to put into words how we're feeling today. Holly Jolly, thanks for coming. Hey, Bonnie. Sea Legal, great to see you. I'm glad that you're glad. Hey, Popeye. Well, thank you. That's very nice. Are you streaming? Are you talking to me or one of the other girls? Because they're all my favorites for sure. Thank you for being here. That's how long their mother carried them in her womb. Hey, Stevens. Bonnie Garrett, good to see you. If I miss anybody, I'm sorry. Hey, Time for Truth. And Jeff and Nessa from New Brunswick, good to see you. Autumn Kristen, hey. And who else? Suzanne, Ori, thank you for coming today. There's Melissa's channel. Please head over and give her a sub. It's free to do, and you'll help a hardworking gal reach a goal. Ginger's mom, always a pleasure. And the document again, absolutely. Noni, hi. Who else do we have? Always thinking of Jack and Lily. Thanks to all creators for keeping this out there. Yeah. It's hard to keep going. It's because there's nothing, there's no news. So what do you talk about? And how do you keep an entire live stream just about Jack and Lily? So we're going to focus on the disappearance. Michelle Walks, or Michelle After Dark, she actually did a nice tribute video today, 9 months and 3 minutes. So we're going to watch that to get started. And I think that should promote some conversation. And as always, I look for comments in the chat to give us topics to talk about. So Captain Injustice, thank you for coming. And who else? Again, if I'm missing anybody. Oh, perfect. Thank you for subbing up, Sarah. Yes, I know what you meant. Solemn, hopeful, sending love to everyone. Crackerjacks, did you make your ASMR video for me yet? Sailor Moon, thank you for coming. Who else? Finding Solace, good to see you. Hey, Sue Oilers. Babs. Babs? From the UK. Babs. Red. Babsy Red. Is that right? I hate butchering names. I just do. These babies are the reason we keep going. Thank you, creators and mods and audience. Yes, definitely thank you. I have not spoken to Belinda. I thought today would be a good day to kind of leave her be. And I'm at the end of chat, so Melissa, hey, how are you doing today?
I'm okay. Hi, everybody. It's just it's a sad day. I think none of us thought we would be here 9 months later. Um, Marie, you said something about your avatar, and I was telling Char just before we went live. Sunny said something about my avatar was gone the other day, and I went back and looked, and on Charmaine's channel, it was gone too. I had to change it, and then it was back. So you might try changing it and then changing it back to whatever you want and see if that fixes it. But hello, all.
Mm, there's a few new people that are coming in as well, so thank you guys for being here. Sky Painter, can a mod advise if Mr. Mexico is blocked on this channel? Which channel? I don't know who you're watching from. Ron is not blocked from here. I think he is blocked from Shenanigans. I don't know about Melissa, but I mean, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, today we are here to talk and review Jack and Lily's disappearance. And I want people to focus on that and not about their disagreements or their different opinions, because every single person on the panel today has a different opinion, different views, maybe even different values and morals. But at the end of the day, none of that matters nearly as much as keeping Jack and Lily's names and faces out there. And like I said, today is about solidarity and just keeping the conversation going. So, hey, Shenanigans, how's it going?
I am here. I am just finishing up a phone call. I'm so sorry. I'll be right there.
Okay, all good, all good. Okay, so I had a few little pictures, right, that oops, that were on. I need to stop sharing. Still tripping through this whole thing. So, um, I was just kind of, going around Facebook and stuff, looking at different pictures and stuff, and the video that we're going to watch, I had never seen this before, and it's a t-shirt, obviously, and I love this. I'm going to find out where or how we can order these t-shirts, if this is some kind of, you know, uh, an awareness campaign or something. I wouldn't mind owning one of these.
Haley had
Absolutely.
those
Haley did? Okay, I will
at
reach
the
out.
vigil. Haley and a couple of other people from the family. This was on the back of their T-shirt, and on the front, if I remember correctly, was the picture of Jack and Lily. And little black bear, tell Miss Bella I said hello.
That's very nice. Thanks, little black bear. But yeah, I really like that. And I don't know why it took me this long to see it, but so do you have any thoughts you want to share right now, Shenanigans? I've got a little 3-minute video that we're gonna watch, and then we're gonna try to talk about Jack and Lily and the disappearance, and where we started and how we got to where we are today, and maybe some opinions on where we go from here, because it's getting more and more challenging to actually keep talking because it's all crap. You know what I'm saying? It's all just crap. So,
It
like,
is.
what are your thoughts?
Um, well, I'm sorry I'm late, first of all. I was actually on a phone trying to get some answers for Jack and Lily. And yes, this case does seem to be surrounded by uh, an unfathomable amount of misinformation, untruths, and all sorts. And it would be, I'm looking forward to hearing from Cindy the most, I think. Um, and I can't wait for that interview to come out to shed some light from a different perspective, because ultimately we've only heard, well, we've mostly only heard from Daniel and Janie the most. And I think it would be great to hear from her side. Um, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting some answers and justice for whatever has happened because I try to remain hopeful as much as possible and to try to keep an open mind. But every day that goes by, it does become a bit more difficult to do so.
It is. It's hard to it's really difficult to keep hope and put on that it's almost a facade. Like, we have to we have to keep hope alive when there's just no information coming out to show one answer or another, you know what I mean? It's either this or it's that, and with no information to back it up, all we can do is talk about what's out there, and most of what's out there, like you said, is drama and crap that just has absolutely nothing to do with finding these children. And why it's so important to some people is just beyond me, to that they keep going with it. They don't stop spreading the info because we look to the family and we look to the friends for the information that we put out to the public. And
Mhm.
when all we're getting is what we're getting, it becomes really challenging to try to stay positive. And I mean, I get that. So,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
did you did you happen to see the Michelle Walks video?
Yes.
Posted, when was it? Well, she's in the UK, so it was posted this morning at some time, but it probably in the middle of the night for us. But I would like to play that now. And then I said, it's like I was going through like my phone, like my really old screenshots, and I had a couple of screen recordings back in that private Facebook chat where when Janie was talking,
Mhm.
and there were a couple of them that I don't remember hearing in the clips that Sunny recorded and then I put into a video. So I want to listen to a couple of those. There's one that I think is kind of is interesting based on um I think it was on the DT channel, something about a 6 a.m. phone call. But actually
Yep.
Janie talks about that in
Mhm.
one of these clips that I don't remember hearing, so I'd like to play that a little bit later. And then, whatever information you have as well. And if Melissa has anything she wants to bring up. But for now, you guys, let's watch this video. I will put up um Michelle Walks. This is Michelle After Dark, but this is her secondary channel. But I'll put up a link to her channel here in a minute. But for now, let's just watch this. Let me know if the volume's okay, because I'm a total dip when it comes to this YouTube stuff. So here we go.
I'm not hearing anything.
There's no sound. Cripes. Should be. All right, because I hit the share audio and do it again. I don't know if it's gonna, maybe it's, maybe it's not royalty free music or something, because volume's up, my audio is shared, so I don't know, let's try it again. Try it again. Let me know.
I am still not hearing any sound.
That's strange. That's very strange. Melissa, you are a co-host, so I don't know. I don't know if it's have you ever had that happen, Shan? Where like I've got my audio shared.
I had it today happen. There's an echo going on. I don't know why.
I keep on muting, that's why.
Oh. You want me to try to bring it up?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's literally like it's a nice song, but I mean there's no words or anything to it, but it does give it a little more, I guess, emotion to hear the but I've got the volume on full, so I don't know. Um,
So everybody is saying Shan is echoing. And the only thing I know to fix that is what we had to do the other day, and that was everybody else had to mute, and the audio to whatever you're sharing had to be muted, or you echo really badly.
I am
was the
muted.
screen muted before, Melissa? Like when we were playing the video? It wasn't muted, was it?
Not when you were playing the video. No, I muted so that I could talk without an echo, though.
All right, so if anybody else did, Shan, do you want to try to share it? Let me unshare or remove mine and add yours and mute myself. No, Michelle Walks made it, Gren. That's not that's not them. But I thought you know, it said that the title of it is, 9 months in 3 minutes. And I mean, I think she did a really good job just kind of hitting just kind of a almost like a timeline without the crap. So I mean I thought she did a good job. Um yeah, I don't know.
I find it difficult to watch those kind of videos because it just I just find it difficult seeing pictures of Jack and Lily, to be honest with you. It just as much as I like seeing their smiling faces, it just makes it more real. Just and seeing it played out like that as well in that format also it makes you aware of how much has occurred and how much has happened in 9 months, and it's like the days feel long, but the months are short, I guess. Normally, it's the years, but we haven't made a year yet, thank God, but that's kinda what it feels like.
Do you like when you're like for me, and it's weird, and I know I don't, but when I'm looking at stuff like that and it's scrolling through pictures of, Daniel, Malaya, and Janie, and even Haley, Cheryl, um, Rob McCann, like it almost feels like it almost feels like we know them. And I know we don't, but it's like, oh, there's this person, there's that person, and it's really hard for me to believe that it's been 9 months. Been 9 months, and so much has happened, and it feels like so little progress. And that is the heartbreaking part for me. I just
It feels like there's little progress, but I think that there's a lot more progress than what we are seeing because, with your guys' privacy laws the way they are, we don't get the amount of information that we're used to here in the United States. But um, I think that they have a lot more progress than what we're seeing personally. That's how I feel. And I have to believe that because I can't believe that it's been 9 months and there's no progress whatsoever. I can't let myself believe that.
I don't believe that either. I mean, I'm a very big supporter of law enforcement, and I do believe that they have so much more than we could even fathom. And that's what makes it more mind-boggling that there hasn't been any arrests or, anything really. Not even an inkling of where they could possibly be heading. And people listen to Rob when he talks, when he does interviews and stuff like that, and they take word for word what he says as, you know, literally, where when he says, they're not prepared to name anyone as a suspect, that doesn't mean that they are not looking at anybody as a suspect or investigating somebody as even a person of interest. And that does not mean that they've completely ruled out the possibility of an abduction. They're very careful with their words, but the problem is we as the public, we take what they say and just that's what they mean. And in my experience is very rarely that straightforward with these kinds of things.
Well, I have to agree. I mean, just because he says that they're not prepared to name a suspect doesn't mean they don't have suspects, right? Just because they're saying it's not criminal yet or there's not enough evidence to make it criminal yet doesn't mean that they're not looking at that avenue or at that road. They're just not to a point where they want to out their hand. They don't want to show their hand just yet, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but that's kind of how I'm looking at what they're saying is they still have suspects. They're still looking at, yes, this is probably criminal, but they have to have the proof to back it up. And they don't want to show their hand, right? They know that Daniel and everybody is looking at the media. So they don't want to show their full hand.
How many interviews did they last say? How many formal interviews did they last say they did? I think it was like 70 something.
I think they said 70.
So I struggle to believe that they would, and I could be wrong, but I struggle to believe that they would interview 70 times formal interviews for children that walked into the woods. But maybe it is part of their keeping all options on the table. But I believe them when they say they are keeping all options on the table as well. So,
What do you, I think this is just my opinion, and I know a lot of people have wondered about it, but just kind of not really thought too much about it. But the seventh polygraph being Patty, I think that that is, it could be very telling, but it could also lead me down this rabbit hole that I'm kind of trying to resist. But if based on the court documents and what Patty said, are they trying to determine if she was being truthful? And why would that be if they have, cell phone data and map data to show what Daniel and Malia did on Wednesday? Could it possibly be that they don't have that to back up their timeline for Wednesday? And so they thought best to polygraph Patty to see if, do you know what I'm saying? But then we've heard that they've
absolutely.
got the 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 plate on Wednesday for the Nissan. But right now I'm on a hunt to see if there was any talk about them driving that Nissan anywhere before that Wednesday. Um, do you know what I mean? Because that could, there's something there that's strange to polygraph somebody whose timeline is so far off of what we've thought for so long.
Mhm.
That to me is that to me is something. There's something behind that polygraph. Why?
The things that surround that scenario that confuse me as well are, we know, according to others, that Patty had a heart condition. She had surgery in the summer on her heart. And I, for a lack of a better word, we know that she's an alcoholic and she likes to hit the bottle. So, is it that her recollection is not up to par because of her age and her alcoholism? And if that's the case, why give her a polygraph if she can't actually remember properly anyway? And how she was able to have a polygraph in her condition, for a lack of a better words, and Janie was found unsuitable. uh I find those that scenario for both of them very odd indeed.
Yeah, but I mean, exactly, and that's the whole point. So if they know, like the RCMP would know that, Patty had these conditions and surgery, and that she has, maybe a problem with alcoholism, they would know that. So if they thought, and I did the entire time, I just assumed that her timeline was so off because of her memory, because of her health, whatever, her lifestyle. I just assumed that. And that's why when I first heard that Patty was the seventh polygraph, I was like, no, she wasn't. There's no way. There's no reason to polygraph somebody whose timeline is that far off, you know? But
Do we
obviously there
know?
was.
How do we know that it was actually Patty?
That's what Haley
Um,
said.
and there was another member of Patty's family who also told me it was Patty. And normally you would question whether or not if it really was, but why would Patty's own family make that up? You know what I mean? Like if it was coming from Daniel's side or, a friend of the family or something, I'd be like, that's odd. But Patty's own family, two different, like Haley, maybe not her direct family, but then there's somebody else, not Durwood, but somebody else who said yes, the seventh was Patty. So
For me, I went a different direction when I heard that the seventh polygraph was possibly Patty. I'm like, I went down the why her with the health issues. And the only thing I could come up with is to possibly verify the black eye that supposedly came from the Tonka truck at her house there when they were doing laundry Wednesday. I feel like hers was more leaning towards abuse rather than what happened necessarily at the property or anything like that. Was more of a verification of the things that she had seen regarding abuse. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's where my brain went.
But
That makes
wouldn't
sense.
that be more of a like a CPS investigation? Just like, and I'm really seriously asking because if an accident were to have happened to Lily on Wednesday, where Patty didn't even remember her being there on the Wednesday, why would they want to polygraph her about that situation? It, you know what
Well,
I
I
mean?
mean,
Like, I don't know. It doesn't track for me. You might be right, but to me, it just doesn't. What do you think,
I
Jen? I
understand
don't know.
I understand what you're saying, but like I said, the only reason my brain went there is because and they may have questioned her about things that happened when she was at the house after the disappearance, but she wasn't there that night, right? She wasn't on the property. She wasn't, like Cindy on a video call or anything like that. So the only thing that I could come up with was possibly abuse. And again, I might very well be wrong, but that's the only thing that I could logically come up with that they would be able to question her about would be abuse and possibly what she heard um, when the kids were missing. You're muted, Shan.
Sorry, Ginger's mom is saying that in Wade's recording, he said that they polygraphed everyone that had been to the trailer to visit the children. So would that mean Hayden? Because Hayden brought Patty.
That day, they polygraphed everybody that day because then that would include Haley, that would include Cheryl, that would include Shelby, that would include Logan, that would include a lot of people, like just
Yeah,
family, never mind all the others that kind of showed up to help search. It's odd. It's odd. And I don't know when she was polygraphed because it wasn't in the court docs. So you'd
no.
think it would have been after that. When did we hear about the seventh polygraph? In the
The end,
superintendent's update, correct?
yeah, the end of the year.
And one thing
Then,
that got me with the polygraph, like you guys said, if Janie was unsuitable for a polygraph, her it said her physiology was unsuitable, right? And they said that was due to her heart. Well, if Patty had heart issues, then how was she suitable, but Janie was not?
It's bizarre. I mean, it's straight up bizarre considering that according to Daniel, Janie's timeline is the gold standard. That she's got a heart condition, she cannot be polygraph test to confirm anything or whatever, polygraph anything that she's claiming. But then Patty, whose timeline in the court docs, her statement to the RCMP is so far off of the timeline given by Daniel and Malaya, but she's suitable for a polygraph? Like, why? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. And why not Justin Martell? Why not Earl? Why not Ron? You know what I'm saying? Like, there are other people that I automatically suspected as number seven, but so when I heard it was Patty, I was like, that's this is weird. That's just weird.
And I will say, when he came out and said that there were 7 polygraphs done, I personally reached out to Belinda and I'm like, hey, do you know who this 7th polygraph was? Because that's what they said. And her reply to me was, and I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't remember exactly how she worded it, but essentially that maybe he misspoke. And so that's kind of what I had gone with up until Haley went on Sunny's and said that the 7th was actually Patty, because I was like, well, he just misspoke. There was actually just the 6th, because, like you said, there is no mention of a 7th polygraph in the court documents that we currently have access to.
I just want to answer this one really quickly, and I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on chat, but I suck at it today. But anyways, Cindy, it was Janie herself who said that's why. But you're right. That's the wording that the statement said about Janie's polygraph test or the court docs. But Janie herself is the one that said heart condition. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, the court documents that we have access to just says that her physiology was not suitable. And I did look that up to see what that meant because I'd not heard that wording before. And if you give me just a second here, I forget exactly how it was worded. When a polygraph examiner says your physiology is not suitable for analysis, it means that factors like being under the influence of alcohol or drugs, being overly anxious, which Janie Martell could have very well been overly anxious about it, or having certain medical conditions that are interfering with the test's ability to collect and interpret reliable physiological data. The examiner cannot use the results if they are not confident in the readings and that they are accurate and not influenced by external or uncontrollable factors. So it technically doesn't say heart issues, but Janie is the one that came out and said it was her heart. But I personally wonder if it wasn't more of she was overly anxious and that was messing with it, and made it look like she had a heart issue. I don't know.
Maybe she was hysterical.
Bet you she was. I could put money on that one. Um,
She's highly strung, to
so
say the least.
yeah, it's wildly bizarre to me that if there was in fact a seventh polygraph test, that it would have been somebody whose timeline was so far off and who has legitimate, long-standing health issues and um, substance abuse issues, alcohol, not calling her druggy or anything like that. While we're on the topic, maybe I will play if I can. If my sound doesn't work for these clips, you guys, um, I'll send them to Shenanigans and she can put. It's just that it's crazy. To me, it was crazy. I thought, what the actual
So while you're doing
shit?
that, Charmaine, we have a question from Helicopter Grandma. She says the documents say that Cody passed the lie detector test, but said Daniel Martell and Malaya Brooks Murray were truthful. I question the difference in the words. I haven't been able to find the one that says passed. I believe that you had said you seen that, but I've not been able to find it yet. So maybe you can answer that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did see it too, and I have pointed it out to like the dismay of many people. They think that past and truthful are the same, but it's not that they're not the same. It's just why the different wording. And when it wasn't just Cody passed the lie detector test, that was with Cody's, but with Malaya's and Cindy's and Daniel's and everybody else's, it was they were truthful when answering redacted. So we don't know what that redacted part could say. It could say when answering these specific questions. Do you know what I'm saying? Past the lie detector test is more of a blanket statement, and this is just my opinion, but truthful when answering and then redacted, just, I mean, it leaves room for speculation. It's unfortunate, but what, like, that's what I think. Then sorry for those who don't agree with me, but there's more to it than just it means the same thing.
But it doesn't actually mean the same thing if you think about it, because, like you said, it could mean he was truthful when answering these questions, but what were those questions? Because we don't know what they were. So it could have been, did the kids live with you? Did you report them missing? Did you search for them? Did you this or did you that? And he could be truthful, but he said that it all had to do with death. So if we take that into account and it says, did you help unalive the children? And he says, yes, technically he's still being truthful. Like, that redacted portion is key to that, if you ask me.
Did it say Wade passed as well? I don't recall that just because um I do know that Cindy's, Malaya's, Daniel's, they all said were truthful when answering, and then the redacted part. And like I said, it's unfortunate that that's what it is, but you know, um that's just my thoughts. Do you guys want to listen to this? This is one. It's only a minute and 26. Then the other one was like 3 minutes. And what I did was I just screen recorded myself as I was scrolling through. And this was after Janie had left the group, and Bree and Lana, I think, they were tossing around the idea of deleting the group, and I wanted to capture these. And at the time I didn't have StreamYard or any kind of recording software. So I knew that Sunny was working on getting all of the clips, so I didn't bother getting them all, but there were a few that I wanted, and for some reason, I don't remember hearing these in the 2.5 hours that Sunny grabbed. So let's listen and see if maybe I'm just crazy, but I gotta mute.
Well, on the weekends when my two older grandchildren were down, I used to eat breakfast with them every morning when they would come over. It would be cereal and bacon for the grandson, and Nutella and toast and bacon for the granddaughter. And every Saturday and Sunday morning they would come over and get it.
That's buried deep somewhere in my memory, if it is there.
It's not even interesting part for me, okay? The part that actually pisses me off about this is that we can come out, we can talk about breakfast every Saturday with her older two grandchildren, but I've been trying for the better part of 9 months to find out what Lily and Jack's favorite snack is, and I can't pry it out of anybody. You know what I mean? It was just kind of when I heard this, I was like, oh, okay, well, at least we know what, Daniel's older kids like to eat. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of information that kind of brings them back to brings them back to life for everybody. Just knowing these little details about these missing children could, I don't know. And I know that I have heard this before, and I'm looking at you, Lori Green. I just it does ring a bell to me,
Mhm.
but it's not in the recordings that I made the video of. It's not in there. I've listened to that friggin' 2.5 hours 100 times. If I've listened to it once, it ain't in there. I'm telling you
Yeah,
right now, it's not in there.
Yeah, that's the
no,
first time
I
I've heard
agree.
that one.
I had heard it, but just not in such a long time that it was like buried in my memory bank somewhere. But I agree. It's just very telling the difference in demeanor and treatment that Jack and Lily received compared to her biological grandchildren. She speaks with them with like a fondness and a memory, like in a positive way, whereas almost everything that she said about Jack and Lily was not positive and had a she always had disdain in her voice. Oh, like she never. It was always she always
She always
sounded
sounded
burdensome, like
burdensome,
she was
like she was
burdened.
burdened.
So angry all the time with everything that she said about Jack and Lily, but you can actually, she sounds like a grandma talking about her grandchildren in that clip. But I, there's never been anything. I just, all right, so here's the other one. It's a little bit longer. Let me know if the sound is okay. Okay, guys.
I already gave you guys the timelines from my morning. But
there's something in there about building a chicken coop or something. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if he meant that I was feeding the chickens or but I don't know. What it's just, I don't know. I started from Monday and I told you guys, I seen the kids went to school Monday. I seen the kids after school. They get out of school at 25 to 3. And after that, they were outside in the yard. Same thing on Tuesday, school. 20 to 3, they get home from school, they were outside. Wednesday, they went to their grandmother's and they left at dinner time and they get home at 10 o'clock because I asked Daniel, how come he's home so late? And he said he would have been home 6 hours ago. Thursday, they went to town around noon. I did get home till later on in the afternoon. As I said, I don't know what time. The kids were out playing in the yard Thursday. Friday morning, I get up at 6 o'clock. I sent my brother a thing off of TikTok at 6:24. I had my tea, cigarettes. I went out at 7 o'clock and I fed the chickens. Come back in, sat down, had another cup of tea, and played on TeamView. At 8:48, my brother called me. He talked for 2 minutes, 59 seconds. After that, I went to sleep. I can't tell you what time I heard the kids outside. I dozed off again. I can't tell you what time I heard Daniel. It was about maybe 5 or 10 minutes after I heard him. I opened up the door, and that's when I seen Malaya. I don't really know any times after that because I never looked at my clock or my phone. I can give you the timeline though of when I came back from the pipeline with me and Justin on the bike. Malaya called me at gotta find my paper here. She called me at 5:32. I didn't answer. I called her back at 5:38. She told me to come back to the trailer. That's really all the timelines I have that I can remember of right now.
So that's, I mean, a different tone, but I don't remember hearing that clip before. Like maybe months ago, like back in July when it was in the chat. But I, do you remember that, Shan? Melissa?
I personally don't remember that, but I also wasn't in that group. So
Sorry, Shan, you were muted. I saw
Yeah.
you talking and then Melissa, that's okay. Yeah, no, Melissa, this was I think before you joined the case, so
Yes.
yeah,
I remembered it because I put it in the timeline. And but I would like to hear it again because that was one of the things that bothered me. I couldn't remember whether it was the Friday or the Saturday that she said that she had missed the call from Malaya. And I believe it was on the Friday and it was after the argument, but I can't be on the end at the driveway, but I can't be 100% sure because then in that case it would be on the Saturday. But in either case, she was out either on the Friday or the Saturday on the four-wheeler with Justin and didn't answer a phone call when the children were missing from the mother. And but she was able to return the call, so she had signal while she was out on the four-wheeler. And she also, if I recall correctly, when she elaborates further on and says, she called me and said to come back, and I said, "What, you didn't find the kids dead, did you?" And she said, "I can't talk about it over the phone. Just come back."
So, and there was another time too, and again, I could be confused, but she said when she went up to the woods, her and Justin saw Daniel, asked if he wanted to go with them, or he asked if they wanted to go with him. She said, no, I'm going to search there. And when she got back to the trailer, the RCMP were there. She had no idea what time because she didn't have her phone.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, she's missing calls, but that could be a different time. So let's listen to it one more time and see if we can, you know.
I already gave you guys the timelines from my morning. But there's something in there about building a chicken coop or something. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if you meant that I was feeding the chickens or but I don't know what. It's just I don't know. I started from Monday, and I told you guys I seen the kids went to school Monday. I seen the kids after school. They get out of school at 25 to 3. And after that, they were outside in the yard. Same thing on Tuesday, school. 20 to 3, they get home from school. They were outside. Wednesday, they went to their grandmother's and they left at dinner time. And they get home at 10 o'clock because I asked Daniel, how come he's home so late? And he said he would have been home 6 hours ago. Thursday, they went to town somewhere around noon. I did get home till later on in the afternoon. As I said, I don't know what time. The kids were out playing in the yard Thursday. Friday morning, I get up at 6 o'clock. I sent my brother a thing off of TikTok at 6:24. I had my tea, cigarettes. I went out at 7 o'clock and I fed the chickens. Came back in, sat down, had another cup of tea, and played on TeamView. At 8:48, my brother called me. He talked for 2 minutes, 59 seconds. After that, I went to sleep. I can't tell you what time I heard the kids outside. I dozed off again. I can't tell you what time I heard Daniel. It was about maybe 5 or 10 minutes after I heard him. I opened up the door, and that's when I seen Malaya. I don't really know any times after that because I never looked at my clock or my phone. I can give you the timeline though of when I came back from the pipeline with me and Justin on the bike. Malaya called me at I gotta find my paper here. She called me at 5:32. I didn't answer. I called her back at 5:38. She told me to come back to the trailer. That's really all the timelines I have that I can remember of right now.
So something I noticed, and I notice a lot of people in chat are kind of thinking the same thing. She sounds very calm compared to normal, which is not any of us who have heard that 2.5 hours worth of her talking. She's just very calm, almost in a sedated state. And I definitely think that she has written down some sort of timeline for this. But, Shan, you ask if this would have been on Friday or Saturday. And in my opinion, it would just about have to be on Friday because remember, Malaya left on Saturday. So she wasn't there in the evening to call um, Janie, if I remember
She
correctly.
she left right about 5:30, 6
Yeah.
o'clock on the Saturday. So that's why I wasn't sure if and there was 2 altercations, right? There was 2 different ones. So I wasn't sure if this would have been the second altercation after the second altercation, and then when she went into the hospital, into the ambulance rather. So yeah, it was just hard to tell. So yeah, this makes more sense that it would be on the Friday. Um, so they were out on the four-wheeler. That means at about 5:20. Um, yeah, I don't understand why they were even allowed out searching. Still to this day, I still
Yeah,
don't know why. But
that's wild. It should have been locked down. Nobody should have been allowed out in those woods. Nobody.
yeah,
Let
like
alone nobody there like keeping tabs on who was coming and going off the property even. Like nothing.
yeah. And they had scent dogs. How are they supposed to determine, that's why they shouldn't have had anyone in the woods. And even then, the scent dogs didn't pick up any trails. So this, I
So
don't know. It's baffling, some of it.
It's
so
very, and
I
if you think about why did they concentrate so long on the woods when they had no scent? They had nothing to lead them into the woods. They
Mhm.
had scent, boot print, whatever, pointing to the road. They had scent to the end of the driveway, but they didn't go that way. Not as fiercely or publicly as they did into the woods for 6 solid days. 150 searchers, drones, dogs, helicopters, Daniel waist deep in water. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm,
they put a lot of effort into those woods.
yeah.
Why?
And I discussed this earlier on my live, and we've been trying to find, well, I think we found the source of the story of the scent dogs picking up the scent to the end of the road. In fact, it was Daniel that said that. And then when the reporter asked the um, RCMP to confirm or deny that, they refused to confirm or deny that. So I'm not sure that we even have, um, that as a fact that this got the scent to the end of the driveway. I'm not even sure that's fact, not confirmed fact, only stated by Daniel and not confirmed by RCMP.
Okay, so that wasn't in the court docs, but the boot print was, or was
Y-
the boot print simply something that Janie said? I know about the cluster that was in
Yeah.
by the pipeline trail, but
Yep. The only mention of boot prints in the documents is a boot print, um, well, two boot prints on the pipeline trail, and it appears as though only one of them was put in like casted out for measurement, where they came up with the size 29 on the bottom, and they've only ever been able to attribute, according to the documents, that one of the boot prints was correlated with the same size boot as Lily's. They have not said anything about the second boot, the other boot prints. They haven't said that they match to the size of Jack, or they haven't even mentioned the size at all. Um, so I'm not really sure what that tells us either. Other than there was a size 29 boot print on the pipeline.
yeah, and nothing in between the property or the pipeline. So they
No,
levitated up to the pipeline, stomped around a couple of times, and then levitated out of there.
yeah.
It's
And
but
I was reading the documents again today because I just, every time I read them, I pick up on something different that I have already read but just didn't sink in. But so when the boot prints were found, well, when the blanket was found, the RCMP dog handler went with the dog to the blanket, but didn't pick up a scent trail. But he followed opposite of where the blanket was found in the trail. So he went adjacent to the blanket, 1 kilometer up the trail, which would have brought him to the pipeline. And the dog still did not pick up a scent. So even though a scent dog went from the blanket through the trail up to the pipeline to where the footprints were going to be found, there was no scent picked up by the dog from the blanket or the pipeline.
So I want to go back for just a second when we talk about how the property should have been locked down. And there's several reasons you do that. One, so you know who's there, who's coming, who's going, what date and time all of this happened. But you don't just let people out ahead of the dog, because the a scent dog works on the freshest scent, unless it's a scent specific dog. And from what I understand, this was not a scent specific dog. This was just a scent, an air scent dog, which is going to pick up on the newest scent. So if you have somebody in front of the dog who is not Jack or Lily, right, they're going to pick up on that scent. And so it's telling to me that there is no scent of the kids. First of all, they should have had a scent specific dog, in my opinion. And they should have locked down the property, because when using that dog, of the way those dogs work, of picking up the newest scent, the dog should have been ahead of everybody else. Everybody should have been instantly out of the woods, and the dog should have been the first thing, in my opinion. I I want to go back to where Janie's talking about Jack and Lily compared to her biological grandchildren through Daniel. I agree with what Shannon said. She has such disdain in her voice for Jack and Lily compared to Daniel's other kids. But one question I'd like to know, and I know it's not in the court documents that we have access to, it says that they took Daniel's phone and Malaya's phone, they downloaded them, and they give them back a couple days later. I'd have to go back and look and see what exactly those days were. But you've got Janie saying that at 7 and at 6 o'clock and at 7 o'clock she's on the phone and she's missing calls from Malaya and all of this. I wonder why they didn't take Janie's phone, or if they did take Janie's phone, why it wasn't in the court documents, because I would think with her being on the property, and her admitting to she was up at the time when the kids supposedly walked off into the woods, I think her phone should have been taken and looked at to see who she was communicating with, at what time, what she was saying to other people. Just in my opinion, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's what I have to say.
I agree, but I do think that a lot of that information can be accessed remotely. So it's possible they can and do have that information just from accessing it through the cell phone company, through Meta, and other companies. And if she handed it over, then that made it a lot easier. But it is possible that she did hand it over, and we did hear that the RCMP gave Daniel another phone while they took his. So is it possible that they all got a different phone?
But that's according to Daniel, because in the court documents, when they talk about taking the phone, they do not say in the court documents that they gave him another phone to use, nor did they Malaya. And you would think that if they did, they would record that so that they make sure that they get their property back. So I have trouble believing that they gave Daniel a phone. I've never heard of that. I know Canada's a little different than the United States, but I've never heard of them taking somebody's phone and giving them essentially a burner phone to use. This isn't if you get into a car wreck where your car insurance company gives you a loaner. Okay, let's be honest. So according to Daniel, they gave him another phone. I just want to make that correction because that is not confirmed by the RCMP or anybody else in that matter.
Nope, but I know that Sonny mentioned it to Darren, and it made his made his sphincter quiver a little. Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate your super sticker
I
and your
agree with
support.
what C Legal said here. She said it's the Sebastian Rogers case all over again with the dogs and the contaminated crime scene. Exactly. And here we are 9 months in, and we as the public, in my opinion, are still sitting maybe square two. Um, I think RCMP definitely has more information, but it saddens me that we are 9 months in and that woods has been scoured by multiple search teams, multiple professionals, drones, helicopters, dogs, radar, um, thermal imaging, and yet we haven't found the kids yet. That is extremely concerning to me.
Yes, I agree. However, I will mention that I have it on good authority that there were other dogs that were brought in that weren't heard on on the regular channels, so to speak, of the radio channels, and that there was a lot of things that were going on behind the scenes that weren't necessarily heard on the transcript of the PIC2 um, area fire department channel. So um, it's possible, and we did have Malaya say that there was the best bloodhound in the province brought into Belinda. So I think there was other things going on that we just don't know about. And I think the RCMP, you know, I feel like the RCMP do know a lot more than we do. They must, and I think that with the officers that would have body cams would have picked up a lot of coming and goings. I mean, there were 160 searchers plus all the police that were there. So, and I'm sure there was not undercover, but plainclothes officers as well. Um, so there was probably a lot being seen that people didn't realize was being seen. And then you obviously have the helicopters as well that were out there uh, by that afternoon that would have been able to monitor a lot of the coming and goings from an aerial perspective. And I do believe that they did go back and put in for this satellite imagery after the fact. And let's not forget that these documents that we're looking at are from July. So nothing that they did after July is in that are in those documents.
That was a point I was trying to make at the time that, just in my opinion, anything that was in those documents was not part of their active investigation, because I don't think we would get any information that could compromise their investigation. So, and I mean, being that we got them in October and they were from July, you have to think that there was movement since July to October, and then even now, looking at we're February 2nd, there's obviously a lot more. I mean, just look at the tasks and tips and interviews and polygraphs that have happened since the beginning. All of that information is not in those, what was it, 500 pages? That's probably like a barely a drop in the bucket of their entire file. Just like my opinion, but I would hope so.
And I agree with that. You know, the court documents we have are not up to date as of even a month ago or December. They are, you know, quite a ways back. So I would be interested to see kind of an updated version, essentially.
I recall, I'm not sure if it was um, Staff Sergeant McCammon I believe it was him who said that this was an unprecedented amount of information that was provided for this case. And I can just imagine the amount of information that's needing to be sifted through and tasked out. Um, and that sort of thing takes time. It takes time to compile the reports, to cross-reference reports, to, see. I can just imagine would be not a logistical nightmare, but just the amount of people needing to be involved to go over the information received has got to be astounding. And I always kind of thought it was funny that people think, oh, the major crime doesn't work on the weekend and you can't get a hold of them on a Saturday or Sunday. And, like it's the Stellarton RCMP when really there's pretty much every department of RCMP and OPP and the New Brunswick RCMP, major crime units, and other agencies out of Ottawa working on the case. So um, I think people are underestimating the RCMP, in particular in Nova Scotia, based on what happened with Portapic. But I trust that they learned a lot from that experience. And I'm just going to touch on somebody mentioned that the RCMP are not obligated to provide a phone. What if they take yours? Of course, they absolutely are not obligated to, but it doesn't mean that they won't.
No, and that absolutely, it begs the question, why would they? You know what I mean? I mean, that doesn't bode well for anybody that they'd give a burner phone to, um, because they don't want them to stop communicating with whoever it is they're communicating with. That's how I would
You
see
might
it.
you might be onto something, Charmaine.
The only positive I could see to the RCMP providing a burner phone to somebody when they confiscate their phone and seize it is that they can track that phone, right? They are the owners of that phone, so they don't have to have warrants and things like that. But are they obligated to? No. Can they? Well, I'm sure that they could. I just have a hard time believing anything that Daniel says. And the only thing we have is Daniel saying, well, they gave me a phone. And I know I can't pick and choose what I believe and what I don't believe when it comes to Daniel, but most lies have an inkling of truth in them. And so it's a game of trying to read between the lines and figure out what is what when it comes to Daniel talking. And so when it comes to Malaya being quiet, as much as I hate it that she's quiet, it's probably the best thing for her to stay quiet because she doesn't have people um, looking in and scrutinizing every word she's saying and every movement she's making like we do Daniel. So I have to give her that. But I hate the fact that we are 9 months in and we still don't know where these two beautiful babies are or what really happened to them. And somebody knows something. And I hope it eats at them
I
that
think
they're
it
not
absolutely
talking.
does. And I think, like, for me, going back to Daniel and what we can and can't believe, just the way my brain works, I try to think common sense. And if he's going to say something, like, for example, that the RCMP or Major Crimes gave him a loaner phone when they took his phone, that's something that he knows that Major Crimes is going to hear about. So why would he lie knowing that they're going to hear about that lie? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where I base it on. Like, even when he first came out and said I passed my polygraph test, and everybody's like, no, well, the police aren't saying you passed, blah, blah, blah. My whole point was, why would he say that? Because they would know he's out there lying about passing a polygraph test. They would know he's out there lying about them loaning him a phone. That's what I base my believability scale with Daniel on. And maybe that's naive, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, I have to agree with you on that. I mean, the RCMP is watching him and listening to what he's saying, so it doesn't make sense for him to be out there lying. But at the same time, I go back to, but he's lied about so much other stuff. And the RCMP hasn't come out and said, well, that's not true or clarified any of it. So,
Yeah, just like the dogs at the end of the driveway. And also, I'm still not convinced that there was a check mark on the blood sample paperwork that he signed that said no criminal involvement, because I have looked and looked and looked and I haven't found any paperwork. The only paperwork I found for voluntary submissions of a biological sample did not have any boxes that met that, unless it was written on there afterwards by an RCMP, which is possible. Um, I mean, it's not really unheard of RCMP to, I don't want to say mislead, but to, I want to be careful with my words here, but it's not unheard of for them to say something that isn't quite true
Um, and
in an
like I
active
said, I
investigation.
remember back in back in college, we went through those types of forms, and I distinctly remember there being a check box, and this was back 2002, 2003. It was a while ago. But that checkbox is if it was a criminal investigation or non-criminal investigation, just to let the lab know what they were dealing with. So that to me is more likely than this person has no criminal involvement, because the reason why they're taking the sample is to determine the source of the DNA on whatever they're testing against. So
Mhm.
on its face, it doesn't make any sense. So if it was there, it was probably just regarding the actual investigation. If it's a missing persons case, then it's not a criminal investigation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the
that's
purpose of taking DNA is to determine how the DNA got to whatever they're testing it against.
And that's how I took it too, not necessarily that he didn't have any criminal involvement, but whether or not they were looking at it as a criminal case, more for the lab so than anything else. So, I mean, I agree. That's kind of how I looked at it.
Yeah. I mean, in the forms, it clearly states that um, they can be used for, and once you submit your DNA, it can be used pretty much in any kind of way until you revoke it. But I I'm curious to know what it was for, whether it was to a process of elimination on the blanket, or part of me wonders if it has something to do with the bath mat or something else that we don't know about.
Yeah, and
Because
I know Danielle did tell me that it was because they knew his DNA would be on it. But I mean,
Mhm,
it shocks me that they didn't have his DNA well before that, because from my understanding, they took Malaya's DNA quite quite a lot earlier, just for identification purposes. If they happen to find, if
mhm,
like, please bring me home, happen to find remains, just something to test identification
yeah.
purposes. So, but
Yeah,
why wouldn't
or
they
like
take everybody's
mitochondrial
DNA?
DNA to
Right,
identify the
exactly.
children. Yeah, because he's not a relative, right? So he's not a blood relative of Jack and Lily. So it would have to be for other purposes other than identifying the children, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I have to agree that they probably ask for DNA, not so much for me as far as the bath mat, although I would like to know whose DNA is on it so we can figure out where it came from, but more so for the blanket, right? So that they can rule out, okay, this was his, because his story was somebody else took the blanket. So they're going to rule out the kid's DNA. They're going to rule out Malaya. They're going to rule out Daniel. Is somebody else's DNA on that blanket? in my opinion, is what that was for.
They did blood for a full panel reading. You don't get that from drinking from a cup. I'm not saying, surreptitiously getting his DNA. I'm surprised they didn't ask him for a blood work a lot sooner, based on the fact that they had sent other items for testing early on, like the blanket, There were other things that were sent as well. So it surprised me that they waited for 7 months at that point to even get that blood work from him. I mean, it just seemed like a delayed request. And I like, what's the reason for that? Maybe they truly didn't think, they didn't look at him as a suspect, and they realize that there's DNA on an item and they need to rule him out, you know? And now people are there was a comment about the washer spinner, and I didn't hear about it, but maybe one of you guys did. Have you heard anything about this particular rumor?
You're muted, Shan.
I did hear about that, and I did try to mention this before, but it did come out of an AI generated YouTube video, and then a fake news outlet grabbed the transcript of that AI video and had it on Facebook. It may even have been in the same one that alleged that Darren Getty's, age 34, was arrested. You just have to be careful about that sort of stuff. But yes, no, I did hear about that, and it was on an AI generated video, and they did not have a washer and dryer in their trailer. Um, but I do believe that Janie did, because she said they looked inside her washer spinner. So it does make you wonder why they couldn't use Janie's washing machine, and why they had to go all the way to Patty's. But
Um, I
I
would
can
suspect, like, if they didn't have a dryer, it was probably a clothesline type deal. And if they only did it, like, I don't understand, once every 6 weeks with children, especially a baby, it's strange, but who knows if that's accurate or not. Um, but to me, if they search, why did they search the trailer 3 times? It's not the trailer, the RV 3 times. It's not a huge space. So why did they keep having to go back, according to Janie?
I hadn't heard about the washer going um, all night, but you know, as far as why they didn't do laundry right there at with that washer, it makes me wonder if it's not one of those little RV washing machines that it only holds, maybe a couple shirts and maybe a pair of pants or two. One of them really small, tiny washers. I had one when I lived um, in a trailer. I didn't have the money to go buy a full washer and dryer, so I had this like tiny RV thing. And I tell you what, it was the best washer I had ever had, because almost everything came out just about dry. Um, but it would be big enough for Janie, but not necessarily a family of 2 adults and 3 children. But again, like you said, Chart, why are they only doing it every 6 weeks when you have a small child and then you have 2 other relatively small children that are going to get dirty and spill food on themselves and, you know, things of that nature. So I have a hard time understanding why um, they weren't doing it more often, whether it was financial reasons of getting up there or what that was. But there is a question here. It says, did please bring me home? Did please bring me home find dirty undies and bloody clothes on the search, or maybe it was just dirty clothing? And Charmaine, you're probably one of the best ones to answer this, but I do seem to remember hearing that they did find um, dirty clothing, but they also found, wasn't it a bloody sock?
That was not during the Please Bring Me Home search. That was early on, very early on. And the Cobequid pass, is that correct, Shan? I think that's where that sock was found and the underwear.
I don't think it was found at the Cobequid Pass, but it was allegedly going around. It was that witness that had come forward, and it was allegedly found on foot while he was walking and searching. So I don't believe it was the Cobequid Pass. The Cobequid Pass, there was a rumor going around through Hidden in the Fog with this woman called Deaf, Deathly Silence or Deafening Silence. I can't remember. And
Deafening silence, yeah.
yeah, and that there was allegedly some black garbage bags of stuff found on the Cobequid Pass and some other things. But from what I understand, that was debunked early on as
Yeah,
no
that was
relation
found.
to
That
the
wasn't,
case.
yeah, that wasn't Please Bring Me Home. And that,
No,
yeah.
no, that was a very odd. I don't even. Yeah, I don't think there was any
Um,
credible, like anything credible in that myself.
no, and Please Bring Me Home search, they did find a lot of things, obviously, because apparently there are garbage pickup restrictions in that area. And so, being that it's very rural, there's a lot of discarded clothing and trash and stuff just kind of strewn about in the woods. It's not like a big garbage dump, but if you go searching, you're going to come across stuff, is the way I understand it. And um, because there were other people that have gone out searching before and after the Please Bring Me Home search that have come across things and obviously not connected to the case at all, but there was, yeah, there was nothing bloody found during Please Bring Me Home. Um, Not even the bath mat and the sweater. We have never heard any news come back about that, whether or not it was blood on the sweater or the bath mat. I mean, but that was the only thing reported. The only other strange thing that kind of got my blood pressure up a little bit in the moment was the towel, the bones wrapped in a towel, but come to find out that was a family pet, a goat, I believe.
Yeah, that was
I
Brad
think.
Wong's goat.
Right.
And that was the only other thing that I could have thought that they would have said was dirty or bloody was what Belinda had found there around the Please Bring Me Home. It wasn't through Please Bring Me Home, but it was the sweatshirt. But again, we don't know that it was bloody. I know it was reported by a certain person irresponsibly, in my opinion, that it was bloody, but we don't have proof of that now.
Right. So we have here a picture of the RV. It's wrapped up pretty tight. Is that a tarp over the window?
Looks like
Um,
it.
but you know, this allegedly, thank you to Wolfie for sending this to me. So I had asked for a picture of the RV early on because later on, and it could be a matter of winter time versus
Do you
summer
want me to
months.
put up the picture of the early on RV?
Is this not it?
No, I have an earlier picture of it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, if you could, that'd be great. Um, do do do. I also know who went to the pass and picked the items up. I believe I'm not going to say the name, but um, anyways, I don't think it's got any relation to the case, because if it did, I think it would have been in those court documents because it was very early on. So
And let's not forget that they requested all the camera footage from the Cobequid Pass very early on.
Now, Shar, if you want, I can actually share my screen and pull this up so we can zoom in even closer if you'd like.
yeah, absolutely. Because I want to look at that, and then I want to look at a more maybe midsummer picture of the RV, because if I'm not mistaken, that tarp was changed out, was it not? And like I said, it could be, this could be like a winterized tarp, but that was draped kind of over the vents in the front and back of the RV. But then the other one I think was a kind of cleaner cut around the vents. I could be wrong, but I would like to have a look at it.
Okay, so I'm getting ready to, I had to get the picture, so let me pull this up here so that I can zoom in. So you can see that the window isn't fully covered in this one.
Does anyone recall that stove pipe sticking out there? It moving.
I believe, okay, so yes, it was not there during the interview that Janie
Mhm.
did. They did take it out. I don't know, but I would suspect that there is like a wood stove for the winter time, and it could just be a matter of taking it out for the summer, every summer, like a regular occurrence. But the tarp is, I don't know. It's just I granted I've never lived in an RV, let alone through the winter time full time. So like I don't know if this is normal. It just looks a little bit, I question why 3 times. Why did they go in there 3 times? And just for the record, I've asked family on both sides, people that were there searching day one, if they recall any searching being done on the top of that RV. And the answer was nobody could remember whether they did or not. So,
So this is a picture showing um, back when they did the interview that the pipe was actually not there and going up. And then you've got that one where the pipe is going up. So that shows the difference.
yeah, and I think that,
Yeah.
I mean, that spells to me, I don't know for sure, but I would think it would be like some kind of heating system. It is blackened at the top, like an exhaust would be. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I would agree it's for heat. Um, but I don't understand why you would take it off in the summer necessarily and still have just the piece that comes out of the window. But I've never lived in an RV in the winter, so I maybe there is a reason.
It's just another one of those odd things. And like the door is propped open there too, see? In this picture. Like
Yeah, it's
and
got that
all
blue. Can you zoom in and see what that blue thing is? Is that just like a jug of water or something propping the door open?
and there's no floor.
So when
Remember,
I
she took
zoom
all
in,
the
it just
cupboards
looks
out. She,
really blurry, but it
yeah,
looks like it's just something propping the door, possibly.
I know. But I mean,
she
bug
renovated. She took all the cupboards out. Remember?
Yeah. And the floor, it looks like. And I understand that people do tarp their RVs, like, to protect the roofs and stuff, but, I mean, all the ventilation is, covered up as well, like, all the not like, the built-in exhausts are covered.
That's what I'm saying. It's just it's odd to me. Like, are they whirly birds? But those are for ventilation. So do you
Yeah.
cover those up in the wintertime to protect your roof? But if somebody's living in there, you'd think they would need ventilation. It's just odd placement. So I don't know if we have a picture of the top of it, in June, July, August, whatever, like later on in the summer, but this is early on.
Yeah. This is prior to the renovation, and you can tell because the shed isn't painted.
That's very true.
Um, so the floor, it had no floor either before.
It's very true. Yeah, that's what I thought. And I mean, don't get me wrong, we have two fifth wheels and everything gets tarped up for the winter time. I get it. But if somebody is living in there through the winter months, they still need that ventilation, especially if you have a wood stove. So I don't understand why all of the vents on the top are also covered up. If somebody is actually living in there, I would like an answer to that. And I don't think anything nefarious about it, generally speaking, but it's odd and it just raises questions in my mind.
So something I noticed in the difference of these pictures, I don't know exactly when they were taken. I can't give you dates, but if you notice on this one, this tarp looks relatively flat. And you don't see the 2x4s that went across the top here, down the center, and on the other end. But this looks relatively flat here, right? You
It
guys all
looks
see that.
completely flat. Yeah,
It looks
it
flat.
absolutely does.
Now, if we go back, give me just a second because I do not know how to put them side by side. Let me stop that. Share this, pull that back up, pull this one up, add to stage. And now you have the 2 bys going across the front, across the side, down the center, and it's very, very lumpy. So why was it not lumpy? And now all of a sudden is lumpy. That's a genuine question. I'm not saying that the bodies are hidden under it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Right. It is strange. Strange. And I think like she said over and over again, you guys, that she gave them their privacy in the trailer. So do you honestly think she went in there to do her cooking and cleaning and her bathing and you know what I mean? Like I think that she lived in there full time and I think she probably had water in there. I don't know how it works. I don't think it gets does it get minus 40 and stuff in Picto, Shan? Like I don't know.
Not very often, no.
That's a good point, knitted. The tarp and wood on top don't look weathered very much. That's a pretty good observation. Very true. And there is in other photographs, there is a ladder nearby. I think there's two separate photographs that show a ladder in two different, like the ladder had been moved from one place to another, but that doesn't mean anything. They would have needed a ladder to put the tarp up. Like I'm not trying to, I'm just, I don't know, I'm questioning everything at this point. And this has been on my mind for a while.
I just don't know why the door's propped open. Like, there's only a few months of the year where we don't have bugs. So, um, uh,
With it zoomed out like this, that blue thing almost looks like maybe a coffee can or a bucket.
yeah,
So
for
maybe
cigarettes, no
something
doubt.
for her cigarettes.
But you look in there and it looks like plywood on the floor. And it is prior to the renovations. And there you also clearly see that there was no gate leading out into the driveway. There's a big gap right there.
So why
And
wouldn't the first place you go when your kids are outside, why wouldn't the first place you go the RV? Was it
That's
because
what
they
I've
didn't
said
think
since
Janie was
day
home
one.
either?
That
Did they
is what
think
I've said since day one. Why did they not at least open the door, look in, and holler in? Whether they thought she was home or not, it doesn't mean the kids couldn't have went out there and went in the RV.
10 whole
unless they weren't
minutes,
welcome in there?
10 whole minutes of Daniel yelling outside before Janie comes out and sees Malaya standing there. It makes 0 sense. It
Not
would have
just
been the
that,
first,
okay.
yeah.
Not just that, okay. So you come out, you hear Daniel calling for the kids, so you come out, you see Malia standing there with the baby, and um, what's going on? Malia said, kids, kids are missing, and instead of saying, I just heard them. What are you talking about? What do you mean the kids are missing? We get how long? So that begs the question, how many times, how often does this happen? Or why you lying? You know, it's one of the two, because
I
that's not normal.
You just reminded me, I actually heard from someone that Janie didn't actually come out with the story that she had heard the kids, um, right away.
You want
That
to
was
elaborate on that?
it may have been an afterthought.
Of course. That was one of those things that they're filling in the gaps, like in my opinion. Like a lot of times they would go back and try to fill in gaps of this bizarre story.
Yes.
Ori says Janie lives in the RV full time year round. Do you know if she goes into that into her old trailer to bathe and to wash dishes and to have running water, or did she have running water in there?
So something I noticed, and because of my job, I do not see that she has water hooked up to this trailer. Does it mean that it's not possible? No. I mean, they could have it a hose or
Yeah, they have the
something, and
internal tank.
an
We
another
we
hookup or
don't
something.
we
It
don't
was a
have
big
like in the fifth wheel when we were building the house. So we actually buried the water line because it goes across the driveway. But to get started in the wintertime, we have our gray tank and our fresh tank. So you don't technically need water running to it. You can have your tanks. But that's not saying that there's not a line buried. Because it's easy
True.
to dig a trench and run PVC and your hose through it, you know? And it could be off the back side, like, I don't know.
That is true.
there
So this
was
is another picture that I had, and this was a screen grab that I got from, I think CBC or Global News, and this would have been right after the kids were reported missing. And again, you see the pipe's not there that I see. It could, it's not there that I see. Um, but again, you've got what seems like a really flat tarp, but it does look like there might be some damage up front here. So it definitely looks like it's been possibly replaced, because I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe that's wood um, that I'm seeing.
It looks to me like the pipe is there, but this angle doesn't. I mean, obviously that the wood or whatever it is holding the tarp down has been moved slightly. But the the bulge that I'm talking about is the tarp being draped over the back vent. The back vent seems to sit up further. So if this is right at the disappearance, like it's a bad angle that the back of it does look like it's still draped over the vent back there. Just my opinion.
Do you recall there was at one point a black thick hose running out of the front of the RV, going, I'm not sure if it went to the other trailer or there was a hose. Yeah, there it is. You can see it. See that?
Yeah, there it is. You betcha.
So I'm not sure if that would be water or if that's one of those really thick electric cables, like we've got one for our generator that plugs into so I don't know if that's electric or if that's water. But in either case, again, like the door's propped open, the floor's undone, the front of that RV looks, I don't know, under the windows. I mean, I can't envision anything enjoyable about being in there. Because
No,
you
and
got no.
like I've heard from both sides that I mean, the situation was supposed to be temporary, and she did ask them to leave twice.
Mhm.
She wanted her home back, and I think that, in just my opinion, but it probably had a lot to do with the state of the property. From my rumor has it that Janie actually did keep her property, up and clean and organized. So, like I had heard many times from different sources on both sides that Janie wanted her home back, and
Yeah.
you know,
And by all rights and purposes, it looked like most of that was not actually from the kids. I mean, yes, there was some kids stuff thrown about, as you would expect, but a lot of it was like tinkery stuff. Like there was fish tanks out the front in various stages. There was like a whole row of like safety deposit boxes lying out the front. There was totes filled with random items, not just the gravel, but other ones by the front door. There was just like oil drums. There was the washing machine. There was the freaking garbage just piled out in the back. There was just
stove,
so much garbage everywhere.
mattress, yeah,
The
stove,
mattress, yeah.
mattress, yeah, and
Suitcases, yeah.
toys, kids' toys and stuff, yeah, absolutely. But you expect to see that, but it was
Yeah,
there was a lot of I don't want to offend anybody, but there was a lot of junk kind of strewn about, you know.
yes.
A-
And
And that would be enough to drive anybody crazy if they're not used to living that way.
yeah,
And I mean,
I
including Malaya, like if she had been, like Belinda said, um, like a really great mom and really, attentive and caring and clean, and then situations happen and mental health kind of takes a hold, and things just they get away from you pretty quickly and you don't even notice it.
So
yeah,
there's a comment here I want to respond to, in response to this hose or electrical cord. Odessa Shailene says, just a garden hose. The thick electric can't bend like that. I know for a fact that it can bend like that because we coil them up, and I've dealt with a lot of thick electrical cords, and they get coiled up to where they'll fit in a 5-gallon drum. So they can actually bend a whole lot more than you think. They kink just like a garden hose. So I've kind of pulled this and tried to kind of zoom out and see where it was leading. And I come to the front of the RV and I stop. I don't see that it goes off to the side, um, through the fence over here or over here. So I'm not sure if it's a garden hose or if it's an electrical hose, but it could be either one. So just wanted to make that clear. That's actually what you said is actually incorrect there.
I wanted to point out as well that that trailer had been declining for decades, in my opinion. Um, and nothing had been painted or stained properly for many, many years based on the color of that barn right there. And much of the garbage that looks like it was around the property had been there for a very long time. So part of me feels like the big cleanup and revamp was done after Malaya and the kids left, almost as a see, look how tidy we are without them here. But in reality, the trailer had been, if from the pictures that I saw of the inside, it looked like it had been in a declining state for some time. Um,
Well, I don't think that the cleanup necessarily was, as you stated, I see how tidy we are now that they're gone, as much as it was
for
possibly
CPS.
CPS
Yeah,
saying, clean this up if you want to have the youngest child back.
yeah. I think it's a combination of both things. It was miraculous. It was a miraculous change versus the what it looked like before. I just don't understand why it couldn't have been done before. Like, why did it have to be put on Malaya per se, if it was Janie's property and Daniel's as well, you know? Like,
For me, it was for the interview. They
yeah,
they probably saw the pictures of their property all over the news and all over social media and heard what people were saying about their home. And when Janie decided that she would do an interview, it was probably a mad dash to clean the place up before she would allow it on the news. It's
yeah,
just, you know, I don't know. I don't know what I would do, but I would probably address that just so that the public knew, like, yeah, we stained the shed and we cleaned things up a little bit, but instead of just pretending like what, nothing to see here, it's just like we didn't we didn't see that. So I got a picture, but I think it's the same one. I'll send it to you, Melissa, because you're doing such a great job. Um, of a picture of the property on the Sunday. Why can't I find Melissa? AJ. There you go. Okay. Same kind of idea, just maybe a little bit more. There you go. Okay. Um, so yeah, Janie's trailer was searched twice by search and rescue and once by the police. The sock and undies were found by Larrig Road. Um, okay. Um, so
we're gonna
apparently
have to
this
wrap
picture that
up. I'm
Okay.
gonna have to wrap up myself here because I gotta go and cut my daughter's hair. She wants me to give her a
Oh,
trim, and I promised I would.
fun. Well, thank you for coming and spending a couple hours with us and, you know, just keeping the conversation going. No
Yeah,
matter
no,
what we all believe and where we go, I think that we all have the same goal, and it's just to keep talking. It's all that matters.
well, I can talk for Canada, so I there won't be anybody shutting me up anytime soon. So thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, and I wish we were here for different reasons, but I think between all of us, we will continue to keep Jack and Lily's name out there and discussing what may have happened to them and hopefully getting some answers soon as to where they are and some justice for them as well. And yes, I am very tired, guys. I didn't have a very good night's sleep last night or the night before. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a good one tonight, though.
Excellent. So we will definitely talk to you later. Thanks again, Shan.
Okay, bye,
And
Shar. Bye, Melissa.
Goodbye, Shan. Thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to get this pulled up because for some reason it doesn't want to. There we go. Finally. It didn't want to pull up for a minute.
so this is actually from Sunday. Uh, uh, I believe it's Tint's drone footage. It's a picture taken from Tint's drone, from my understanding. So again, there's that, see on the back, it's not as raised, it's not as widely spread as it is in the other picture. You can see where it's over the vent. Like I'm saying, it's over the vent in the back there. You can see that. But in the other picture, it's spread out. I don't
I
know. Maybe
agree,
I'm
Sharp.
crazy.
But something I notice is this dark spot right here. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse.
That's what I'm talking about. That's where the vent is. That's where it's raised up. That's
It
exactly where
looks
I'm talking
wet.
about. In the other pictures, it's more, it almost looks like there's like an air or something under there, like a, I don't know, like a,
Well, what I'm thinking is because this looks wet, if they didn't put something there to cover that vent so that if the tarp leaked, water wasn't getting through. And maybe that's why it's raised up in the other picture.
very well could be. And why it bothers me so much, like why it's in my brain so much, I cannot justify it to anybody. But it's just one of those things that stuck out. And I'm like, I'm wondering what, I don't know. And does it matter? I don't know. I wish, I wish somebody on the property who was searching day one, day two, could remember whether or not under the tarp was in fact searched.
I know you and I had talked about that before about it looking like, something was under the tarp. We didn't know what, but that it looked very lumpy. And we had wondered before if under the tarp would have been searched. But then I got to thinking, would that tarp, and I doubt it would, but would that tarp block any heat signal? And was the thermal drone flown over the entire property?
Thing is, like to me, and I don't know, I'm obviously not an expert, but I do not want to get graphic, but had the kids been up there at some point, I don't know that a heat drone would have picked it up, depending on how long they were there. And if we're just going to generally speak here, when we have decomp happening, what is that? That's gases. And what happens with gas fumes? They rise. So if you've got an elevated surface and if fumes are rising, I don't know that a scent dog would have picked it up. If they're wrapped up and moved relatively soon, like after 6 days, 7 days, like I don't know. And Damien, did they concentrate on the property with the heat, um, with the heat? I don't even know what they're called. The FLIR cameras or drones, or were they concentrating in the woods? Like I don't know. I don't know. But the fact is, nobody from either side of the family can remember whether or not under the tarp was searched. So, thermal, thank you. Thank you, Damien. Melissa, I have to go number one. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay. So, Lori, you said nobody could keep bodies up there for days. The smell would be terrible. Um, yes and no. Yes, it would eventually start to smell, but if it was cooler, right? If it was cold enough that they had to have the wood stove going, right? So that's going to slow decomp. Um, so that would slow that smell. But I mean, yes, you're right. It would smell terrible, but you know, how soon would it become so bad that you would notice it? I don't know. Again, we're just speculating here. It's just something that we've noticed. As far as um, that goes, we're not saying like this is for sure what happened. We're just pointing out um, things that we found odd that we wanted to point out. And I am off of the screen where I can see your guys' comments. So if you give me just a second, I will be right back on that screen. I just need to put these things in a folder. And I'll show you why here in just a second. So give me just a second here, guys. Let me remove this. Stop screen. Close that out. Close that out. Open this file. Open that. Minimize that. Sorry, guys. I know I'm talking you through what I'm doing. Sorry about that. You're going to be a pain in my butt. Okay. See, this is why she doesn't need to put me in charge of the pictures, because I can't get my crap to work half the time. It is not. Anyway, it's not showing up. So let me go back here to comments until Shar gets back, and then I can work on that. So just from personal experience with the heat, sensing drones, a tarp would not prevent the heat from showing. That, and I know there are tarps that will, right? But this just looks like a regular old tarp that wouldn't to me. Unless it was like heavy duty rubber, like they use on industrial roofs. Well, actually, even the ones, from what I understand, and I'm not an expert, but from what I understand, is there's specific tarps that will block heat signatures. and they aren't the type of tarps that you would put on your roof because you know they're going to get damaged eventually. So I don't even think maybe maybe a heavy rubber one would, but I don't know. Again, this is just something that we've noticed.
But I honestly don't think that that's logical because they weren't rolling in the dough and they weren't gonna run out to Canadian Tire and buy a specialized rubber tarp for this purpose. It would be something like their regular winter time tarp. But but I mean, obviously I was wrong in that it's not a different tarp up there. I thought maybe there was one for winter time and then one for summertime, but it doesn't look like it's been changed out, you know? I It's odd. It's odd. Odd to me.
It is odd. So I fixed it to where I can just go in between the two pictures easier. Well, that's the thing, Seawood. We don't know that the tarp was changed. I kind of with Shar here. I don't think that it was necessarily changed as we don't know. That's just something we're looking at.
Can you put that first one back up so we can see what I'm talking you see what I'm talking about? It almost looks in the back. It almost looks like there's kind of airflow or something going through there, or there's something under there. I'm telling you, that's something, and it's different than the other picture. So
It
it
is,
could
and
just be, yeah.
something I said a while ago about it looked like it was wet, and maybe they put that wet area kind of looked like it was over here by this pipe. This is more towards the back and center than where. Okay, so you can see this wet spot. It's kind of right by the wood. All right. Now, if we go back over here, right here by this pipe would have been the wet spot. It's back here that we're saying, zoom in a little bit further here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but right here is where we're saying it looks like something is under it.
And that's not like a little something, and that's why I'm questioning if it's just airflow, some maybe wind or something that day. I don't know. It's odd.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily the wind because of a couple of reasons. One, it's boarded here, it's boarded here, it's boarded here, and here. It's also boarded right here. So the wind, you would see it peaked up right here, right? And this looks like it's something rounded, um, approximately, what, I don't know, 5 foot or so long. It's sat kind of diagonally. You can see that it's more of a rounded and it's pulled kind of tight here. There's something under there. Like, I know you guys probably can't see it. I wish I could make it better.
No, we can see it. I can see it, but the raised part where the creases are, that would be the vent. That would be the rear vent on the roof.
Correct.
I think. I think. So when is that at the back? Is it
I,
just shadows in a
no,
wet
it's not
spot?
shadows.
It's odd.
So you said air conditioner. So generally, I don't know about the older RVs, but I am around RVs all summer long. You would have, where's my mouse? You would have an air conditioner approximately here and here, not back here, not in a diagonal fashion, not rounded like that, the air conditioner would set up higher. Now there is you can't really see it very good here. There's an elevated area, which looks like it could be possibly an air conditioner. But this back here would not be an air conditioner.
So Damien says the bumps are there in both pictures. Like the vents raised? I would hope so. I would hope so. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I think that the wet spot that you're saying, I think that's the vent in the back, and then the one in the middle off to the side. And yeah, that's what I think the vents are, but you can see there's no diagonal uh something under the vent, whether it's airflow or what, but I don't understand the vent coming out of the window either. But it could be some heating, some venting, some I don't think it would be air conditioning because those are usually just plastic.
So
Um,
right here in the middle, I'm going to assume is more of like the air conditioner or a vent, something like that. I think this could be a vent for what would have been the bathroom, but again, you can see it's dark. The lump is right here, and you do not see it in this picture. Now, you go a couple months later. So that first picture, Charmaine, you said was taken when? You're muted.
that was from um, Tint's drone footage. So you're saying that the one with the lumps is later?
So the
I
one
thought
with
this
the
one was the
lumps,
day of. I thought that was the day of.
no, this one, eh, let's see, from what I can understand based on context clues, is the fence is not built yet, right? The fence isn't right here. Okay. So, in my opinion, and in my opinion only, and keep in mind, I got all of these screenshots from CBC, Global News, all that, right? So, this would have been within the first week, would have been, right there during the search time is when I got this screenshot here. And you can clearly see here's the same on the side, that raised area. The wet spot is gone and dried out, and there is now a lump, and a large one at that, here at the back. So Lynn says that's a rolled up shape, in my opinion. I agree. And I agree because the way it is curved, right? It's curved here. It's got a curved kind of corner here and here. It's wider here and not as wide here. I agree. It seems like it's rolled up. But what is it? I don't know, Shar. What do you think?
If I knew, I wouldn't be talking about it. I'd just be telling you. I have no idea what to think. I think it's outlandish. I think it is reaching, but I think it's interesting to talk about. Um, and what are the implications? Like, what are we getting at? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say it, but because I don't believe it wholeheartedly. But I mean, it's something. There's something with this. I'm not. I'm glad that we pulled it up today because I thought maybe I'm just over like you know, maybe I've just got tunnel vision. Maybe I'm seeing things. Maybe. Y- Ron, just speaking up now. Go wait in the car. Why doesn't someone just ask the RCMP? Do you think they'd tell us if they searched on top of the RV? I don't think they'd tell us.
So I don't know what you think, Shar, here about where it says excess tarp rolled up under. Now, I could almost agree with that if it was straight across, if it was diagonal like this, if it was up and down like this, not diagonal, large, not uniform in size. What do you think about that, Shar?
It's too big. It's too big to be anything, I think, that we're thinking possibly, you know, the reaching. I think it's too big for that. But to just dismiss it and say it's nothing, I don't know. I think that if it's nothing, then I don't know. Why is it there? It's something. It's not nothing. I'm gonna have to call her quits. Harley is losing it. I gotta give him dinner and I've gotta make myself, or I gotta pack. I have to go back to work. I gotta leave tomorrow morning and I'm only gonna be gone for 2 days. So I'll be back Thursday for another live stream. Do you want to keep going, Melissa? Or are you good to end it here? Or
I'm good to end it here. Hopefully, Jesse, I showed you what you were looking for. But yeah, I mean, I'm good to end it here if you want. So you can go do whatever you need to do. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's 9 months. And the question still remains, where is Jack and Lily? And that's it. And Belinda deserves answers. And somebody needs to talk because somebody knows something, right? So that's our thoughts. And I think that the RCMP definitely knows more. They're definitely not telling us everything. We can guarantee that. But it's good to talk out what we think and theories and see what everybody else's opinions are. And so much love to Belinda. I know I haven't checked in with her today. I'm kind of like Shar. I was giving her space today. But if she's listening, much love to you. My thoughts and prayers are with you today as they are every day. And that's really all I have to say. So I'll turn it back over to you, Charmaine. Thank you for having me.
yeah, thanks for joining. And the the entire point is to keep Jack and Lily's names out there. Jack and Lily deserve to be found. They deserve to be brought home, no matter what that looks like at the end of the day. And they deserve to be talked about and they deserve to be thought about and remembered and positively advocated for. Even though this is such a dark case with so much drama, so much bullshit, all we can do is keep working to keep the conversation going, no matter how far reaching and ridiculous it might be. We're not accusing anybody of anything. We're not saying that there's bodies up here, but it's just odd. And look, it gave us something to talk about for 2.5 hours today. On the 9-month mark, you guys, this is getting scary and it's getting ridiculous, and Jack and Lily need to come home. So let's keep talking and keep being nice to each other. And I don't know. I'll see you Thursday. Maybe Melissa will do a live. And thanks, Shenanigans, for joining today. And everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Talk soon. Bye.